But in terms of the plastic stuff, it sounds like there might be some other developments that are good news.
Oh, you beat me to the segue. I was going to try to get there. Actually, I was going to try to get there when I brought up that screen earlier. That's why I had it up, actually.
Oh, perfect.
But no, actually, so let's bounce back to that for just a second.
Okay.
Because so all of this did kind of come to a head maybe 2 years ago or so. Like you said, when China decided, okay, we're not taking your plastic anymore. And I don't know how much of that was just that they're being overwhelmed with it, or how much of it was trade war type stuff. But yeah, they basically shut off the intake of all this plastic, and suddenly we're like, oh, we don't know what to do with all this. And it turns out that there's not a plastic recycling infrastructure there at all. And I did a video on plastics probably a couple years ago now. I described it as the best and worst thing humanity's ever created. And I've been the recycling Nazi in our house ever since then. Like anytime my wife throws a one-time use plastic in the trash can, I'm like, what are you doing? Throw it in the recycle. And I'm super aware now of like any kind of single-use plastic, really. Anytime I get creamer for my coffee and they come in those little tiny little cups and I have to use like 20 of them to make it the way I like it. I'm exaggerating, people, so stop with the comments. But every single time I'm just like, creamer? Yeah, it's like, it's so wasteful. Look how much I'm throwing away every single time I make coffee. We do Blue Apron. We started doing that, like cooking together and stuff, and that's nice. But like every single thing in a Blue Apron box is filled with, covered with plastic, and there's so much waste involved with it. I've just become hyper aware of it over time. And so when this story comes out and we're hearing that like actually plastic can't really be recycled at all. Like you said, only like 10% of all plastic has ever been recycled, and we can't expect it to ever get any better. I'm just like, what are we supposed to do with our plastic then? Should I just throw it in the trash? Because what's the point? I really want to do a video on this and really cover it, and maybe talk to somebody that could provide an answer, because that's really disheartening.
Yeah, I think Tree Hugger had an article that said it would be better to burn it. But of course, that's not great for the environment, but it apparently is better than having it be just in the ground.
Yeah.
Because you have a few options here, and I actually have some data because I was looking at this. You have composting it, combustion, landfilled, or recycled. Those are the options.
Yeah. I
don't know what composting, recycle, or plastic means, but yeah, it's a problem. So, but yeah, how do you get around it? I mean, think about a conference. If you've ever been to, a big conference of any kind for any industry, think about the plastic containers that the sandwiches come in.
Yeah.
And like one conference, there's like tens of thousands of them. There you go. In just one event across 2 days. I mean, the amount of plastic we make and whatever is absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
have you ever just like held on to your trash for a month just to see how much trash your household makes in a month?
I mean, just to every 2 weeks.
It would be horrifying.
Yeah. And it's funny because I remember we went down to Nicaragua several years ago now, and they burn all their trash. And the places we were going to were these kind of remote villages. And so it made sense. There is no trash service. So they just had these like burn pits, and they literally would just take all their stuff out. Now, granted, down there, they didn't have a lot of plastic and things because literally you're like, kind of living off the land. But there still there was these things called pulperías, which were like these little, like a 7-Eleven. And so, kids would go there and buy a bag of chips and a soda or something like that as a treat. Yeah. So there still was, but it was minimal compared to here. But I remember driving by thinking like, oh God, how could you? You should recycle. And now I'm like, damn hypocrite.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that's upsetting is like that we were lied to about it. It's not that, because I think, if you had known that feeling you have when you get the 20 creamers, or is it 22? How many do you put it?
22.
22. Okay. If you had known that, then you probably would have changed your behavior, years ago, like tens of years ago. Because this whole thing, like when I was a kid in school, you had to, only certain plastic things could be recycled, and they had a number with a little triangle arrow thing. And in that story that you're showing here, the NPR one, apparently what happened is they came out and the makers of the plastic just start putting that triangle on everything.
On
Didn't matter.
everything, yeah.
And then so the people, the recyclers, were like, wait, what the hell is this? What's going on? Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And that's when they uncovered that basically the whole thing was just a scam invented by the oil industries, the plastics industries.
Yeah, it was like in the airlines they call it security theater. I guess you would call this like green theater. Like they would put the recycling symbol on there even though you couldn't recycle it.
Greenwashing.
You couldn't greenwash. Yeah, there's a word for it there. I knew there was a word. Well, maybe there's a solution.
Yay, good news.
Maybe because they now have a super enzyme that eats plastic bottles 6 times faster. It just says, so this is from The Guardian. It just says 6 times faster. It doesn't say 6 times faster than what. But
that's like when it was Romney versus Obama, there was a funny thing. And he had like, Romney had 0% of the African-American vote. That's what he was polling for. And they were like, he hopes to triple that within the next couple weeks. You're like, all right.
We're up to 1.5%. No, but I think what it's talking about, because there have been some enzymes that have been... actually, this is amazing. They found one, literally just found one in a landfill in Japan in 2016, this bacteria that was able to eat plastic. And they were able to kind of take that and hybridize it and do the thing with it and make it into something that can... And they mixed it with other things. So anyway, they've been basically like finding different types of enzymes that bacteria have created. Is it bacterias? I think it's still just bacteria in it. That can actually eat plastic, and they've been like combining it all together, and now they've got this one that is 6 times faster than others that have been unveiled. Now, what gets me though is it doesn't say what it turns it into. It says it breaks it down, but into what exactly? I don't quite know. Like, does it break it down to something else that you could use, or?
Back to
and here's
original...
another one. Like a French company, Carbios, revealed a different enzyme in April, originally discovered in a compost heap of leaves. that degrades 90% of the plastic bottles within 10 hours. Yeah.
But requires heating above 70. We can do heating.
Yeah, but that takes extra energy, so you don't want to do that. So it says right below it, this new super enzyme works at room temperature.
Oh, okay, whatever. So. Now, okay, where's my tinfoil hat? I need the woo-woo. Okay, so.
Okay, here we go.
The plastic eating enzymes are here. It's going to be the next pandemic. What happens when they're done with the plastic? When all the plastic has been eaten? And remember that plastic has been broken down into the food cycle now, the food supply. So now it's in us. The plastic enzymes are coming after us.
Oh, so the bacteria is going to get in us to eat the microplastic polymers that have now become a part of our cellular structure, and we're just going to turn into gray goo.
That's it. That's
it. Well, we had it coming.
Here.
Yeah. We had a good run.
We deserve it at this point.
Yeah. You know what though? I'll take good news where I can get it. I still am not sure. I've read both of these, so there's a couple. I clicked on the one that was found in Japan in 2018. So I've looked through both of these. It doesn't really say what it breaks it down into. I would like to know better what that is. But it's also talking about the combining plastic eating enzymes with existing ones that break down natural fibers could allow for mixed materials to be fully recycled as well. So clothing and polyester and stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because plastic is kind of in so many things. It's not just the water bottle itself. It's, all the other things like this lid from the cup that I got this morning at Starbucks of this wonderful Pike's Place roast. Can't tell you how much I love this.
Luckily, you have enzymes that break down caffeine. You know what I've always wanted? This is the future that I want. Let me just put it out there. When 3D printing was in vogue, it was like the thing that, we can 3D print things now. This is what I want. I want everything to be made out of a particular formulation of plastic that is recyclable, so that you could literally take the bottle, put it in a little container thing, it melts it down, and then uses that plastic to 3D print whatever it is you need.
Oh, a replicator
and then,
of some sort.
Yeah, and then when you're done with that, you can put it back in there and just, keep the cycle going. Why can't we have that? I don't care about jetpacks. I want that.
Yeah.
Where's that in my future?
Right. Yeah, I imagine like a little diaper genie device, and you just throw your plastic in there, and then within a day, it kind of comes out the other side as like because when you do 3D printing, it's like it's like a spool of plastic, right? It just kind of does the thing.
Seriously, if you take all your plastic bottles and just put it into a thing, and it just kind of like melts it down and creates that filament out of it, and then you could 3D print stuff with it.
I mean, I believe the short answer as to why that's hard is because the plastics themselves are not all the same type. That's why they did have those numbers that meant something different on them.
Yeah.
And that's why certain ones are more recyclable than others, is because of the, I guess, compounds that they use, right?
Sure. They're all different formulations.
Yeah, but that kind of would be ideal. So first off, going back to the lakes on Mars, I mean, if we have plastic eating enzymes that we just discovered, I would throw out a probability as high that there's some kind of life that can live in a salty pool. But along those lines, so is this problem like going to solve itself? It sort of, I mean, obviously there's science and stuff, but like, is this something that the actual recycling industry, I use quotes because it's the plastic industry, created this. Is it their... are they going to use this and actually just do it? You know what I mean? Like would it work, do you think?
The enzymes?
Do we need to worry about plastic? Do we need to worry about plastic consumption? I guess.
I think the thing that none of us really want to talk about when we're talking about anything environmental, whether it's climate change, energy use, plastics, is ultimately we have to reduce.
Yeah.
And that involves us changing our lifestyle in some way. So of course we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've made a genuine effort, and I think that's why I feel like it's important to talk about, to at least have an awareness. I think most people are just completely unaware of how much plastic they just go through every day, and it winds up in a landfill somewhere and never goes away, basically, It's like the plastic fork that you ate lunch with, you used it for 15, 20 minutes, and it's going to sit in a landfill forever, I feel like all I can really do is spread awareness of that and make people aware that that's the situation, so that, maybe I have a drawer full of plastic forks because I just can't bring myself to throw away, and I keep reusing them, but and it's getting to the point I can't close the drawer anymore because they keep slamming in there. But
that's how you know when you've become an adult.
I know.
Are there also batteries in this drawer?
No batteries.
Okay.
I need to be disposing of the batteries probably better as well.
Which is hard as well. I actually have piles of batteries in my garage because you can't just throw them away because they're not recyclable either.
Yeah. So, I mean, my point is, like, I know here in Dallas, they passed a ban on plastic bags. Actually, no, they didn't.
Well,
no, they pass on a charge to you, I think. At the grocery stores, because I know at the grocery store down the street you can just still grab a plastic bag. But there's a place, I call it the Hippie Mart, but there's a very granola place down the street that they've never had plastic bags, and you have to like carry your own in there, and it's fine. I mean, I keep some in my car, and I just go in and if you don't have a bag, they'll like find an old box from their stock and just walk out with a box, But well, it's funny because like I was a kid when plastic just first started really becoming a thing that everybody used. Like when I was a kid, you still got Cokes in bottles mostly, or cans, and you would recycle them, and everybody would collect their cans and take them in and get a little bit of money for them and stuff. And then plastic just took over everything. And it's kind of like it seems like it's something we can't possibly live without, but we did for most of human history.
Yeah.
And I feel like we need to return to some of that. Like, you don't have to use plastic for everything,
I've got two answers for you. One is called the Zero Waste Movement. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of this?
Heard of it, yeah.
So like my wife got kind of hot on that for a while, and so we actually travel, like in her car, she has wooden utensils. So if she goes somewhere to, buy to-go food or whatever, she can forego that. Mm-hmm. And then, we obviously have, I don't know, obvious, but out here in California, we also have a plastic bag ban. And then what they did, it's so annoying, they just made thicker plastic bags. So now they're reusable plastic bags that they gave you for free, which I actually don't hate because like one day I went grocery shopping and I forgot my reusable bags and they gave me these really thick, heavy duty plastic ones. And I've had those ever since. I literally have like 6 of them just in my car and I take them back in and reuse them. So I don't hate it as much because it's you know, it's not perfect, but it's like, okay, it's better. But the zero waste thing, yeah, reusable bags. One of the real hard things I think is food packaging. So if you go in to a store and you want to buy peanut butter or something, you know, in order for it to be zero waste, you'd have to like bring your own container to fill that up with, which is hard really. I mean, it's just way more work than most people are ever going to do.
Sure. Right.
I think is what it comes down to. So, you know, but yeah, like you said, like all these things weren't natural. This isn't like how we've evolved. Like we were led down this path. Like I don't ever really try to blame consumers for a lot of things. I think it's not fair because we're just, you know, feeble little humans against, you know, giant marketing machines that are using science to make you eat more than one Lay's potato chip and, you know, keep clicking on the next photo and watching the next video. And I mean, all these things are like we're kind of helpless against. But yeah, the zero waste movement is one solution there. And then also cornstarch apparently can be made into a lot of these things. It's kind of cool. So there's a store nearby that actually has their to-go bags are these like cornstarch bags, and they're kind of fabric-y feeling, but it's totally compostable. So I don't know how long it takes. Maybe this is another plastic industry lie, but who knows? But then at Facebook, when I used to work there, the barbecue place, you know, because at these big tech campuses, there's always like free lunch everywhere, and they give you like, you know, metal silverware and not like a ceramic plate, but like a plastic, like a harder plastic plate that can be reused. And you go eat, do your thing, and you throw it back, and they wash the dishes, and then they reuse it. So there's not waste happening with the food. But at the barbecue place, it wasn't like that because you had to have different sets of things, and so they gave it to you in these little paper trays, and all the utensils were cornstarch. So you threw it into the regular trash, or actually they had a compost bin next to it, so you could throw it into the compost bin. I don't know, the like numbers behind that and how viable that is, but if I didn't tell you that little, you know, cornstarch fork was not plastic, you wouldn't know. Like it was completely the same. Unlike,
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen those before.
Yeah, you know, we try to convince ourselves that like veggie burgers are regular burgers, and I know Impossible Foods I love, but you still know a difference. You know what I mean? There's like absolutely no difference. So I think there's opportunities for companies to really to make this happen. I mean, it all comes down to economics. If you're a food vendor and I'm selling you to-go containers, and now I have a cheaper one that happens to be compostable, but whatever, you're going to buy the cheaper one. You don't really care about plastic or not plastic, right? Maybe you do if that's like part of your brand, but generally speaking, I'm just going to buy the cheapest one because I just want to make the most money as a business.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I fall. I mean, economics are going to do what they're going to do, but if everybody reused the plastic stuff that they have one time, that would cut down by half, wouldn't it not? I mean,
I guess you'd have to figure out how much stuff they use, but yeah.
Math aside, I'm just saying.
It would help a lot. Well, that's like...
It's the single-use stuff that gets to me. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%. That's like the argument about, you know, to save the planet, we all need to go vegan. It's like, not really. Like not all meat pollutes and creates as many problems as other ones. So, for example, lamb apparently is the worst. Beef is next. Okay. Yeah, because the big, if I understand it correctly, all the research I've done, a big part of the problem isn't actually necessarily like the emissions from the animal, right? The methane burps and crap like that from cows and all that. It's the land that they take and what happens to that land. And so apparently lamb is the worst, then beef, and then it drops by like I don't know, like 80% less is like chicken. So you look at it and you go, well, okay, if we all stopped eating beef and lamb, that would be a massive step forward. But even if we each reduced our beef and lamb consumption by 20-30%, which equates to like 1 or 2 less burgers a week or something like that, that alone, if the beef and, the meat industries also reduce their, I guess, production of those things, then it would have an impact. I still question that. Like, just because we're not eating it doesn't mean they're not going to find another way to use it and still make more of it. You know what I mean? But
you'll be buying forks made out of beef.
Exactly. But point being, you get to the
beef.
Like I don't really see a lot of these things as all or nothing solutions.
Right.
You don't have to. So yeah, reusing stuff would be fantastic. Reducing the stuff you need would be probably the best thing. And then we still have to find other solutions, like even with emissions, let's all go electric. Let's all do these things. Yes, we should do all that. It's all great, but we still need to do carbon capture. We still really do. Like, it's so far beyond.
We have to do all the things.
Yeah, like it's not like oh, that's just a Band-Aid. Like, we need the Band-Aids. Like, give me all of the Band-Aids. Like, we need to pile them on top of each other at this point.
Well, the phrase was always reduce, reuse, recycle. And we seem to have left those front two out for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just been like, well, we can just recycle. And well, it turns out the recycling part was BS the whole time. So now we have to reduce and reuse. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this clip from our show. If that's just not enough for you and you want to watch the full episode, you can go to olfpod.com/YT.
And if you want more from us, you can consider becoming a Patreon member. You'll get early access to episodes. You can join our awesome community. You can actually watch us record live and get your name in the credits by going to olfpod.com/Patreon.
So thanks everyone for watching. Check back every Friday for new clips here and new episodes on the main channel.
Thanks everybody.